Hey guys, welcome back to SS Multimedia. Sal here. Today we're going to be talking about quadrilaterals. Okay, so our objective is going to be classifying the different quadrilaterals. Okay, so we have a short title, short objective. Okay, so classifying means like basically naming in a fancy way, so you're giving all the different names. Right, so if you think it has a right angle, you're going to say that. You're going to say it's a parallelogram. All those other stuff, you're going to classify it. You're going to name it in a fancy way. And quadrilateral is a polygon. It's a polygon with 4 sides. Okay? So any polygon with 4 sides is called a quadrilateral. Okay. So first, now that we know what our objective is about, we're going to be talking about parallelograms. Okay, so first, we have to understand what this means, right? There's parallelogram, right? And the key word there is parallel. Okay, so if I draw a rhombus here, right? There you go. Okay? This is a parallelogram. Okay? Why? Because if these lines go on forever, I'm just going to draw an arrow there to help you understand that. If these lines go on forever, they will never touch. Okay? If these lines go on forever, they will never touch. Okay, so that's why it's called a parallelogram, because both of these lines, so you have a rhombus again. I'm going to draw another one here. This was not as good, but there you go. So there you go, right? These lines are parallel, okay? So I'm going to draw this 1, 2, 2. 1 is parallel, right? Those are both parallel to each other. And 2 is parallel, right? So now if you have a shape like this, okay, this would be called a trapezoid. Okay, the shape I'm about to draw. If you have a shape like this, okay, is this a parallelogram? No. Why, right? It has a parallel side, right? If these lines would go on forever, they would never touch, right? So 1 and 1. Problem is, there's also 2 and 2. If these lines go on forever, they will touch. In fact, they might even touch while we're still on the page here. Yeah, see that? They will touch, right? So that means it's not a parallelogram because both of the sides have to be parallel. If 1 is parallel, right, but 2 is not, then it's not a parallelogram. Okay, so again, if a square, right, we have a square here. It's not the best square, but that's a square. This line, all of these lines, if they go on forever in both directions, right, they'll never touch. And that's important. It has to be in both directions, right? But say we have a trapezoid again, so I'm going to have to keep drawing more and more stuff. So let's get some more space here. Say I draw another trapezoid. Okay. Now, I continue the shape on this direction. And now I say, okay, these ones are parallel, right? So 1 and 1 are parallel. 2 and 2 are also parallel because why? They'll never touch, right? They'll just keep going on their own separate direction, right? No, okay? It has to be going on both ways. This isn't a ray. This is still a line, right? So it has to go on in both directions. And if we're doing both directions, it will intersect. Okay, so parallelogram is a quadrilateral with both sides being parallel. Okay, that's why I underlined that word parallel, because that's how you remember what parallelogram means. Okay, now we're going to be talking about classifying. Okay, so now I have a square. Okay, actually, you know what? No, sorry. My bad, I feel like that's a bad example because we're about to talk about something else with squares. Okay, so let's use a rhombus. Okay, that's what this shape is called. It's called a rhombus, right? We have a rhombus, and now we need to classify it. What does classifying mean, right? I explained that in the beginning. It's just a fancy way of saying naming it. You're going to give it all the different names it has, right? And of course, if you had a rectangle here, you would also give it a right angle, right? Because it has a right angle, right? But since it doesn't have a right angle, we're not going to go, right? And now, we're going to go ahead and do this. So, number one, obviously, is a quadrilateral. Okay, this is the one that most people forget, which is kind of funny because it's literally the one thing we're talking about today, quadrilaterals. You always have to make sure that you classify it first as a quadrilateral. Okay? The next is a rhombus. Okay, because that's what it's called. Right? The next, parallelogram. Parallelogram. Okay, see how I gave it all three names that it has? Okay? Then, I want to classify a square. Okay, or a rectangle. Actually, first let's do a trapezoid. Okay, because I want to get this out of the way. Sorry, I'm rushing a little, but this is how it's going. Okay? So we're here. Let's classify. We have, of course, quadrilateral. I'm going to draw a quad and just put a dot there. Then we have trapezoid. And that's it. Okay, so just quadrilateral and trapezoid. This one is quadrilateral, rhombus, parallelogram. Okay, but now what if I want to classify a square? Okay, what names would I give it? Okay, surprisingly, it would be quadrilateral, square, parallelogram. Just got parallel and then do a dot because you're probably getting tired of seeing me write. Now I'd call it a rectangle. Okay, which is surprising. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about squares versus rectangles. Okay, I'm going to draw those here that we know what we're talking about. We have a square, and then a rectangle. Okay, this is how, if I told you to picture this, this is probably along the lines of what you would picture. Okay, but if I told you, I want you to picture a square and a rectangle, and you knew what I'm about to tell you, you might picture it as this. This is a square, and this is a rectangle. Okay, they're the same thing. So now, here comes the tricky part. Why is a square a rectangle? Okay, now I want you to think about everything a rectangle has. Okay, number one, this is what classifying is. Number one, it's a quadrilateral. Okay? Is a square quadrilateral? Yes. Number two, parallelogram. Okay? Is a square parallelogram? Let's see. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Okay, if we go on in both directions, right, it will never intersect. So yes, it's a parallelogram. Now we have, next, let's see, it has 4 right angles, right? 3 is 4 90-degree angles, right? Because like here, this is 90 degrees, right angle, right angle, right angle, right angle. Let's check here. Right angle, right angle, right angle, right angle. Okay, now that I'm actually doing this, I just remembered. One more thing when you're classifying. Okay, this is like kind of a funny one. 4, polygon. Right? And yes, I'm not going to do any tests. Yes, it's polygon. Okay, so all of these here, I forgot to add. Rhombus, polygon, polygon. Okay, these are all polygons. Right? Because they all fall under the umbrella of polygon. Quadrilateral, all quadrilaterals are polygons. Yeah, that's one thing I forgot to say. Okay, so now back to our lessons. I got a little sidetracked there. So we're here, right? We're trying to figure out, that is a square rectangle. And did we get all the attributes, right? I think we did, right? Polygon, 490-degree angle, right? I think we did, right? And, oh yeah, one more thing, if you really want to go through, right? Opposite sides, do opposite sides are equal, right? If you look at it, this side is equal to this side, right? So these are both equal. And these sides are both equal, right? So if you draw them right next to each other, they would be exactly equal. Right, that's not the exact one, but you get what I'm saying, right? They're both equal. So if you want to go really thorough, you can do that check, right? Okay. Are the opposite sides through? Those are equal. Those are equal. Okay, yes. So yes. Okay, so now we have the last question. Did it pass all these questions? Yes. So that means the sixth question, is it a rectangle? According to all of these questions, yes. A square is a rectangle. Okay, but, okay, so first we're going to write this down. Is a square, you know what? Let's get it up. Is a square a rectangle? Okay, that's our question. Yes. Okay, so according to this, yes, a square is a rectangle. But is a rectangle a square? Now I know you're probably going to be like, well, yes, if a square is a rectangle is square. Wrong. No, it is not. Okay, I'll do it in red here because this blue is getting a little hard on my eyes. Right? You have a square, right? A square has all of these attributes, okay? Except one more thing. This one very, very important thing that a rectangle does not have. A rectangle does not have, so I'm going to draw 7. A rectangle does not have all equal sides, right? If you think about it, all of these sides, in a rectangle, only the opposite sides are equal. This one is equal, this one is equal, this one is equal, this one is equal. And this one, every single one of them is equal. Right, so is a square a rectangle? Yes. Is a rectangle a square? No. Okay, so you always have to remember that wording, okay? So I'm just going to do a quick thing. Square to rectangle? Yes. Rectangle to square? No. Okay, memorize that because this can get very confusing. Okay, and if you ever forget that, just do this check. Classify it using everything it has, and then classify the square using everything it has. See, does the other have everything? Okay, and now that I think I've covered everything, I'm going to go ahead and move on to problem time. Okay, there's only going to be 3 questions today. Okay, number 1 is describe the below quadrilaterals. Number 2 is a square rectangle. Is a rectangle a square? Number 3, what makes quadrilaterals different than other polygons? Okay, and you know what? I'm going to add a bonus one here. Okay, just for fun. Draw a parallelogram. Yay! I wanted to do that. I forgot about that. Parallelogram. Okay, I know I probably spelled that differently every time. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm not that good at spelling. I'm sorry. Okay. I think I spelled that wrong. Doesn't matter. Anyway, so number 4, draw a parallelogram. Okay, so pause the video. Give it a go yourself. Okay, so I'm assuming that you paused the video. Now we're going to check your answers. Number 1, describe the below quadrilaterals. Okay, so since there's probably a lot of traits here, we're just going to add a new page, okay, and list them all there. So the first one, right, we saw in the first one, that's this one. We're going to call that, okay, number 1, just so I don't forget, this one is a rhombus, right? Then it's a polygon, right? It's a quadrilateral. Then it's a parallelogram. Parallelogram. Yes, I spelled that differently than I did last time. And that's it. Okay, if you see, I think that's it. So this first shape is a rhombus, a polygon, quadrilateral, and a parallelogram. Okay, now this second shape is a trapezoid, a polygon, a quadrilateral, and that's it. Okay? Then we have this last one, and this is a square. Okay? So let's go down back here. This last one. This one is a square, a rectangle, if you remember, a quadrilateral. Oh my god, I spelled that wrong. Quadrilateral. Then it's a polygon. It's a parallelogram. And then there's one more that I forgot to talk about. Sorry. It is a equilateral. 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 I spelled that wrong. Equilateral. There you go. Okay. What is an equilateral? It is a shape, okay, with all sides equal. Right? So this would be an equilateral triangle. Okay, but we're not talking about triangles, we're talking about quadrilaterals. So the only equilateral, actually no, let's just some rhombuses are equilaterals, right? So depends, right? I think this one, actually no, a rhombus has to be equilateral, sorry. A rhombus is an equilateral as well. Equilateral. Sorry, I completely forgot about that one. But basically, any shape with all equal sides, so they all are equal sides, it's an equilateral. Okay, there you go. So those are the answers to all of these shapes. Stay on this page real quick so you can check them. Okay, and then we have, is a square or rectangle? Okay, is a square or rectangle? Number 1. Square rectangle? Yes. Okay, I'm not going to explain this one because that's going to take too long. And is a rectangle a square? No. Okay, if you don't remember this part, just go back to the other part of the lesson. Okay, you can just pause the video and go back and then come back here when you're ready. Okay, and now the second to last one. What makes quadrilaterals different than other polygons? Okay, I want you to think about this. It has 4 sides. Okay? The only thing different from any other polygon is it has 4 sides. Okay? And now draw a parallelogram. Okay, this one you can't exactly check because there's like billions of parallelograms you could draw. You could draw this. Right? You could draw this. Right, something like that. You can draw anything, right? All of this stuff. Okay, so anything that if you draw an arrow, okay, and you can judge, so you be the judge of this one. That's right, you're judging your own. You're judging yourself. I want you to see, if you draw an arrow continuing the line, will it go on forever and not touch the other one? If you think it will, there you go. That's a parallelogram. Okay, no, don't judge yourself because it's not a straight line. That's just a completely different thing. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's not a straight line. I see even this isn't a straight line. See that's like something like this. Okay, and it's supposed to be like this. So don't judge yourself with something like that. Okay, just try and just figure out if you draw a line, will it go on forever? Yes or no? Okay. So there you go. These are everything we covered for today. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. And keep an eye out for the next videos to come.